We're in Tarpon Springs, and we have a story here of a treasure pertaining to Louis Aury. And we have Joe with us. We call him Capt Joe. And he's going to give us a brief little review of what he knows about this treasure and the research that he's done. So, go ahead, Joe. Tell us.
What we think is in the spring of 1818 is when Aury actually was on his way here to the Spanish Well. Well, on the way, he took two Spanish ships, one being named the Isabella. I don't know what the other one's name was. Overtook them easy, and there was a Mexican, one was Mexican, and the commander gave up the ship. He knew he was outgunned, outmanned. Both the boats were taken. They came in to what we think was Anclote Key on the north end for sale. It had 95 slaves that were African and Caribbean slaves aboard, which was illegal in U.S. territories after, I believe, 1804, 1808. Well, Aury brought him in, and there was a man named Bowden. Now, how he knew Bowden, I don't know, but the contacts went through. Aury sold the slaves to Mr. Bowden for $60,000 in gold and silver. He also gave Mr. Bowden a receipt saying that he could have the ships and the slaves and be on his way. The story that I've seen is that the slaves ended up somehow sailing to Louisiana, to New Orleans. How they avoided other ships, who knows, but they did. They all made it. Then they went inland and went to the Georgia area. Well, the problem was when he got everybody there, the state of Georgia confiscated the slaves. And they said, you can't keep these slaves because they were purchased in American territory. Well, Bowden says, I can keep the slaves. I have a receipt that says that I bought them. They said this receipt came from Louis Aury, who we previously threw out of our American territory. He said, you're right about that. And I bought them from him off the north end of Anclote Key on the west coast. There was a problem there. U.S. territory did not buy the west coast of Florida from Mexico yet. Monroe was trying to make the deal on that. He only owned the east coast from maybe Daytona to Jacksonville with Fernandina and Amelia and all that. Well, this all went down in court because he sued the state of Georgia. Now the other problem is, of course, the state of Georgia released some of the older slaves, cut them loose. The younger ones, they put them to work. Well, the story goes he did get the slaves back, but he didn't get all of them back. And in the meantime, that's where we think that Aury came here, or stayed here, and hid the money before Andrew Jackson came down here to actually arrest him again. They did keep him, we know, from September to December 23rd on Amelia Island. Then it's said that he went to New Orleans, maybe by land, who knows, maybe he sailed around. I don't have records of that yet. But we know he went to see John Lafitte, and that's where he got his one boat, the Mexican Congress, which, by the way, he brought here to Dunedin, or this area. As the story goes on, someone warned him. Whether it was the Indian scouts, friends, who knows, other sailors said, listen, they're headed this way. So that's when the other story that Mike found for me that kind of validated the fact that, you know, where they hid most of the treasure. We know some of the treasure was found in 1928 off the Pitlachiskoti River, otherwise known as the Cody, off Port Richey, Florida. Two young alligator hunters. Their whole family was alligator hunters. They were hunting, and it was low tide on the river, and they were obviously in a Pirogue, which is a Louisiana-based boat. And they went in this cove to get this alligator that the water was down at low tide, and ran across bags of money on shelves. So they took the money, went about their lives, and I've heard that there was an interview in 1980 in a nursing home off Indiana Avenue in Newport Richey. They interviewed him and said, did you really find Aury's money? He said, well, it had to be his. And they said, well, did you take all of it? And he said, no. Why not? We didn't need it all. There was more there than we could even spend.
Does that mean maybe those 11 chests you only grabbed?
No, it was bags on shelves, on wooden shelves, some kind of cypress shelves. And it was just tucked back in there right where at low tide you could get in there and get to it. And of course he died not long after that. You know, the other expeditions aren't as important, but we do know that there were 7 shacks that were built on the east end of the island. They were excavated in 1975, which is in the April issue of Treasure magazine. They came down here and got a permit, and they went through that. And they just dug for remains or whatever of the buildings. Well, it tells me he had to be here around a year because it takes time and money to build these things. However, this was a crafty man. He was very good at what he did. He would sell things to people at 40 cents on the dollar and make money. And he did very well until he obviously met his end. When he sailed out of here, we think he went to Cartagena. Others say he went to Havana. Maybe he stopped off there, I don't know. But we think he went to Cartagena, and that's where he fell off the horse on the beach, broke his neck, and he died at 34 years old. And that was probably 1823, is it? 1822? So there was a couple of years there where, you know, we don't know how long he was here.
Actually, it's I think I saw 1821.
1821, so he could have been here 2 years. And of course, Monroe knew about him and hated him. And he knew that he was a part of the imported slave trade. There was more money in human bodies than there was in anything else.
So this treasure is basically money from slavery.
Yes, it is. And the average male slave, a young slave, went for $1.64 a pound back then, which was a substantial amount of money. Now, obviously, he sold them for 60 grand, 95 of them, but we don't know if they were elderly, young people, children. We'll never know. There's really no record of who those folks were, other than they were brought from Caribbean or Africa or somewhere, and what kind of journey they had. So, in a nutshell, that's where the story ends.
Okay, and then this is where we did some research ourselves.
I need you to stand over here because of the
So when Joe contacted me, he told me about the story a while back. We did a little bit of research, and we really couldn't find too much about this particular pirate. So about a month or two ago, we actually were at the University of South Florida looking through some archives from different historians and authors, and we'd gotten quite a few lists of different treasures with cliff notes that different authors or treasure hunters had actually done. So I decided to comb through it to see if I could find Louis Aury's treasure, and we did find a snippet which looks like a cliff note that one of the authors or somebody had done, which gave us the actual location of where the treasure might be. So do we have a location? We do actually have a location. Am I going to disclose it to you? I cannot do that. We actually went to the location today, and we're going to go to another one tomorrow, and we're onto something. So I got a good feeling that it's still here. I mean, it's not a very known pirate where I can't see a bunch of treasure hunters looking for it, so it still has to be here. He died before he had a chance to come back and get it, so it's probably still sitting where he left it. So anyhow, that's what we're working on today and tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But he's got a good story here. He's done enough research to where I think
there's some validity.
There's some validity to that. Yeah. The treasure should still be there.
And Gregor McGregor, his right hand, when they were together for a couple of years, they became trade buddies per se. Well, Gregor McGregor ended up leaving Amelia Island and sailing all the way back to England, where he was told if he showed up, they'd hang him. But that was years previous. The new regime was in, and they welcomed him because he was a general. So he went back there supposedly and retired on his general's pension. He never made that journey back over to here. So it all kind of ties in and fits that no one has really came back to look. And again, it isn't a popular privateer. He was a wealthy privateer, and he was one that loved this west coast of Florida, which was Mexican territory in those days. Only the East Coast was American territory. And we'll go from there.
All right.
That's good.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
So here we are, first thing in the morning. And it's very quiet, really pretty. You can see all the way out there. No boats, pretty calm. A lot of squirrels. There's, let's see. Oh. Yeah, they're just detecting around to see if they can find the well. I did a couple, did some information digging last night, and there used to be a mock well, actually, and maybe we can show it in the video where the sign was. That's since been taken down. But the spring and well, they say, was about 25 feet from the shoreline. Of course, we don't know where that shoreline once was 200 years ago. But I imagine it's probably near the sign. Some of the resources say that the well was kind of forgotten and covered up, and they just kind of let it go, the original location. But I would think that that's probably about 25 feet. So I don't know. There's not a lot of information out there, just here and there. But it's still very pretty out here. It's fine.
Well, we can do it at the next location.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah. Here's the well.
I mean, ideally.
Can't tell you for sure, but I was diving down here. Where that mossy area is.
Right.
That's where the well really is. Because this was on land years ago, 200 years ago.
So you're saying the well's in the water?
Yeah, cemented up. I found a thing of cement. A kid fell in it in 1948. So they had to come and rescue him. And then I'm pretty sure those rocks are just a marker along with that. The actual well itself is right there in the water. Now, if you look out here, okay, that's the main channel to Anclote coming in here. That was here in the 1700s. That was.
Babe, get in front of them.
The end of the river actually goes that way, and it mouths out as well. This has been dredged out in the 50s, we know that much. However, this would be the channel where they catch the boats in, throwing the bow and the stern anchors to get the boats in.
So you're saying it's out here?
Well, the well itself is actually right in this area here, cemented up. Okay.
In the water?
Yes.
Okay.
This used to be
There's no way that they would have gone in such low ground. It has to be up here. It has to be up here.
Well, here's the other thing too. In that story of the 11 caches that were in a circle, not far from the Indian Mound and the well, he hid it in plain sight. And it said in that article that they marked the trees. Now,
Right.
yeah, that's when we had the oak trees. That's
right.
Oak trees,
I don't see no oak trees around here.
We know this was here. We know that was there. And when we go to that other park, I'll show you why I think that was there. However, this was where they came. In this area right here was where they came. We know that. Because, again, you can go 2 weeks without food, only 3 days without water. So, and if you look at the date on there, that well was there since the what, 1600s when the Timucuan Indians had it.
You see that?
Yeah, it doesn't give the date. Narvaez and Vasco Gama. And that was 1600s.
Yeah.
So it's been here a long time. And again, my thoughts are this. They came in here at night. It said it right in that article. If they came in from the west at night, come in here, they had to spread out this way somewhere or that way somewhere. So there's always the horrible possibility that something could be buried in that parking lot.
Or if you're all right and the well is down there,
It could be along in this water somewhere.
so we don't know.
But then again, there was a big oak tree here. Now, I was reading up on the oak tree thing.
Yeah,
Red oaks can live 300 plus years.
yeah.
The other scrub oak or whatever lasts about 150. I never paid attention to any of these trees. These look all too small, but as you go that way towards the Indian mound, which is where we're going to go next,
yeah.
the trees get bigger. Now let's walk to the Indian
Well,
mound.
hold on a second.
Okay.
What I'm thinking is, obviously they put this here because they knew that the Spanish Well was here. Did they know the exact location?
They did in 1948.
So they did in 1948. So if they did, then this is a good place to signify that it was here. It might not be like the one like you said. So what we need to do is we're going to need to check maps during in the 1940s, 1930s to see how much this
The river came up.
how much the river came up. But I just, if Todd sees this, Todd's going to say it's not there. He's going to say it's up here somewhere.
Yeah.
Even though that you might think it there, it might have been a drain.
But here's the other key. It said in that article that he buried it not far from the Indian mounds.
Well, the opposite side of the bank. So if that bank went further, it's still going to...
No, you guys are talking about two different things. So he's talking about one article and talking about it being near the Indian mounds. Your little section that you found doesn't mention anything about Indian mounds. So
No, I'm talking about another one.
Yeah,
so
I'm
there's
talking about, well, I'm talking about this one here.
yeah.
This one
We're
here,
talking about two different
These
examples.
islands here, that is all the shoals from when they dredged this out in the 60s.
Okay.
So everything that was scooped out to dig all that out, just don't forget there's houses behind those. And that is navigable waters in there. But again, these islands here were probably not here at all. They were just dredging. And I'm pretty sure that part over there was dredging as well.
yeah,
Does
but
any of this go when low tide comes? How far, like,
It depends on the feet.
okay.
Full moon, we get a real big low tide, then walk pretty
Is it
far out
low
there.
enough where you could get to possibly, like,
get to that well.
get to the well?
Yeah. Yeah. You could snorkel it.
You could snorkel it, okay.
Now, I saw the well 4 years ago, what I think it is.
What you think it is?
Under that muck in there. Right in that area there was where I brought my wife and my daughter. And
Is it in between the buoys or further
Yeah,
out?
it's in between the
Okay.
buoys, right? Just right off in here.
Okay.
So,
Well,
Interesting.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. They said it was something 10 to 15 feet to the back end. So it might still even be up in the shoreline.
yeah.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, obviously we would have to do something in the evening when most of these people are gone. Take the 808 and at least see if there's anything. I mean, I'd still check this. I would check this whole area. I'd check this whole area.
From the ramp over, start there, come this way. I mean, absolutely. I would check this definite whole area. The other thing, too, that caught my attention, that other article, is about the Indian mounds. Now, there were more than one here. In the late 1950s, two of the Greek guys from Greektown, right up this river, about a mile and a half, they owned an excavating company and thought that it was a great idea after leaving the bar at midnight to bring their construction equipment down here and start plowing the mounds over in this area.
Oh
I
man.
think I
They,
read that
they
somewhere,
did.
yeah.
They did at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. They got arrested, went to jail for it, but they destroyed a bunch of the mounds.
Right.
Now, as far as I know from what I saw and read, that is the closest one right there.
Let's go check it out.
So that's a marina there, and that's Miss Vicky's. And I believe you should walk there to Miss Vicky's.
Yeah, we should check out her stuff. Yeah, it does go straight through.
The type of market, you know.
I mean, it
Now that
could
something
be.
like that will last forever. It's not going anywhere.
I don't know if this tree's gonna be old enough though, babe.
No.
You would think he would be up that way. You know what I mean? Away from the water.
This is so cool. I don't know why.
It's a really great place.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see that it's woodpeckers, but I can't see a woodpecker doing that all the way up the tree.
Yeah.
Kind of odd, isn't it? Hey, catch that right there.
What is it?
Look at the lines in the tree.
Yeah, why are there
Yeah, that is.
I mean, which tree did it? Oh, well, look. Maybe at one time they might have had something tied off here,
Yeah.
like a fence, to stop people from going through or something.
Maybe. Oh, this is kind of cool though.
It's awful weird. Look at this one right up here.
It's been taken like, I don't know what it's called, Theraflu or Robitussin or something like that. So. It's horrible, yeah. So.
Damn, I'm sorry there.
How deep?
I don't know, but I mean, it's probably about 5.
Well, that's not going to happen over here.
Find another one?
Check right here, see if you get anything here. Right?
Something real faint right here.
The art of
Those roots there.
getting him metal detecting without getting in the way.
Well, that's interesting. That looks, how big do you think that is?
What is it?
Like this big?
You saw the one we sold out.
They were bigger ones.
What is it?
It says gold.
Well, it also.
It could be a little bag, you know, we don't know. You know, 77 and 80% valuable, those are good ratings there.
Yeah.
And that one there is distinguishable, it's bigger. I mean,
Yeah,
why are some facing up and some facing down?
When
You know
they're
what I mean?
when they're facing down, they're inside of a cavity. That's We have made it to Honeymoon Island State Park. Looking for treasure.
So here we are on Honeymoon Island. Very peaceful, very quiet.
No.
Kind of trails kind of go all over.